Hello and welcome back to the Embodied AI Video Digest. I'm Fred's AI avatar. The real Fred and I go through the week's embodied AI news together. He does the thinking, I do the talking, and in about 12 minutes, you get the 5 stories that actually matter, one for each layer of the stack. Brains, the models, bodies, the hardware, movement, what they can physically do, usefulness, whether anyone pays for it, and acceptance, whether society lets them in. This week is a special. We are calling it the Friendly Robot Edition, and every story is a machine doing something kind. A robot that learns a physiotherapist's touch, a walking exoskeleton arriving in 50 clinics, a guide dog for blind people that cost $2,000 and was given away free, a drone taking off every 50 seconds in Rwanda, and a stranger in Sweden restarting a man's heart with a defibrillator that flew to him. We will also settle all 3 of last week's promises, and one of them lands with a twist. Let's go. Layer 1, Brains. On Wednesday, MIT published work from the Newman Lab on a 2-armed rehabilitation robot. The interesting thing is not what it does, it is what it learned. Every robot model this year has been judged on motion. Can it fold the towel? Can it open the drawer? This one is judged on touch. It runs diffusion models with real-time force feedback. So what it generates is not a path through the air, but a pattern of resistance against a human arm. Push too hard, and you are doing the patient's exercise for them. Too little, and they get no help at all. It has to sit in between, continuously adjusting to how hard this person is trying today. And here is the lovely part. In the clinical study, running with Christina Piazza's lab at the Technical University of Munich and the Pfennigparade Rehabilitation Center, the human therapists wear force-sensing gloves. The robot learns from their hands, not physiotherapy in general, that therapist's individual style. Some scale, stroke affects about 15 million people a year and leaves roughly 5 million with lasting impairment, and there are nowhere near enough physiotherapists to see them. Recovery depends on repetition, and repetition is exactly what a clinic runs out of. The so what, contact-rich force-aware control is the missing capability for every robot that will ever work on a body rather than a shelf. And note the framing the team chose. Teach the robot to assist the therapist, not to replace one. One coder from Monday, because it is too beautiful to leave out. In the journal In Neuro, a Seoul National University team played 10 patients the opening bars of familiar children's songs, then asked them to imagine the rest. A pitch decoder reconstructed the melody of tunes that existed only inside their heads, not commands, music. Layer 2, Bodies, and this is our weekly wearables story, because embodied AI is not just robots. On Wednesday, Lifeward announced a 6-month pilot with Ottobock Care to put the ReWalk 7 personal exoskeleton into more than 50 patient care clinics across the United States. That is the whole story. On the face of it, a distribution deal. I think it is the most important wearables news of the week. An exoskeleton is not a gadget. It is a prescription. Somebody has to measure you for it, fit it to your spine and your stride, train you to stand up in it, and then argue with your insurer about paying for it. That needs a certified prosthetist orthotist within driving distance of your house. And that, not the engineering, is what has kept powered walking devices rare for 15 years. These machines have been standing people with spinal cord injury up, walking them, turning them, and taking them upstairs for years. What has been missing is a clinic near you. So watch what this pilot actually builds. Regional assessment, fitting, training, reimbursement, and follow-up, explicitly as a template for national distribution. 2 things alongside it. Last month, the Technical University of Munich published a soft hip exosuit weighing under 3 kilos, tested on older adults averaging 78 years of age. It cut the energy cost of walking by 13.6% and got them out of a chair nearly 2 more times a minute. And Science Corporation's Prima retinal implant, a chip 2 millimeters square paired with camera glasses, is now cleared across 30 European countries. In its trial of 38 patients, 84% could read letters, numbers, and words again. Their chief executive's line, "We have taken patients who could not recognize faces and enabled them to read a novel." The first commercial implant is expected in Germany this month. The so what? This category has stopped being a technology story and become a logistics one. Nobody is waiting for a better exoskeleton. They are waiting for an appointment. Layer 3, Movement. On Monday, Milo, The Quebec AI Institute released Milo and called it the first fully autonomous robot guide dog. Take those words apart, because each is doing work. Fully autonomous means all the computing is on board. No phone, no internet, no cloud. Guide dog means a blind person is holding the handle and following it. And this is the bit I would underline. It works in buildings and streets it has never seen, with no prior three-dimensional scan of the environment. Against a conventional navigation baseline on real obstacle courses, it moved more smoothly, and more to the point, its handler bumped into fewer things. Now the number. It costs under $2,000 to build. A trained guide dog costs around $50,000 before you feed it for 10 years, and in Canada, you wait years for one. And Mila did not sell Milo. They open sourced the hardware designs, the simulator, and the trained policies. Anyone can build it. 2 observations. First, this is the same problem the driverless car industry has spent tens of billions of dollars on, navigating an unmapped world with a human life attached, solved on a battery-powered dog for the price of a second-hand car. Second, look at what it runs on. A modified Unitrigo 2, a Chinese quadruped, which the United States banned the import of new models of 8 days before this launch. The so what? Assistive robotics has quietly become the best value-for-money autonomy research on Earth because the constraints are brutal and the budget is small. And when the result is given away rather than sold, the waiting list is the only thing left to solve. Layer 4, usefulness, which on this show always means the same blunt question. Is anyone actually paying? On Monday, Cleveland Clinic became the first American health system to make drone delivery of prescriptions permanent, not a pilot, a service. A 5-mile radius around its Beechwood campus for now, no surcharge to the patient, and the aircraft does not even land. It holds at around 300 feet and lowers your medicine on a tether, and you track it in the same app you use to book appointments. Cleveland Clinic runs 23 hospitals and saw 15.9 million outpatient visits last year. The program was announced in October 2023, so that is 3 years from press release to first parcel. Then on Tuesday, National Public Radio filed from the other end of the same company. Muhanga, Rwanda, Zipline's first distribution center, opened in 2016. There, a drone carrying medicine, vaccines, blood, or diagnostic samples launches on average every 50 seconds. Zipline now handles effectively all of Rwanda's pharmaceutical logistics for a country of 15 million people, reaching anywhere in the nation in under 30 minutes against 7 or 8 hours by road. The report opens with Noella Mukanoheli, 42 years old, hemorrhaging during labor and needing 5 liters of blood. 2 drones brought it in minutes. She lived, her baby lived. Rwandan maternal mortality has fallen from around 1,000 deaths per 100,000 births to 87. The so what? And it is uncomfortable. 10 years separate those 2 stories, and the poorer country got there first because it had no legacy network of pharmacies and delivery vans to defend. Rwanda's health minister put it better than I can. We used to only see drones in war zones taking lives, and now we see drones in health systems saving lives. Layer 5, acceptance. In Borås in western Sweden, a man in his 60s collapsed. Someone called 112. 15 seconds after that call, a drone was in the air. It flew at 60 meters, dropped to 30, and winched a defibrillator down. A passerby with no training talked through it by the dispatcher on the phone, shocked the man's heart back into rhythm. He is recovering. We learned about it on Friday. The numbers are the story. Average drone response there is 3.5 minutes. An ambulance takes 7 or 8. The region sees around 1,000 cardiac arrests a year, and only about 1 person in 10 survives one outside hospital. And here is what makes it an acceptance story rather than a technology one. Sweden has funded this as ordinary healthcare since 2023, not a trial. A line in the health budget, sitting on the emergency dispatch tree next to the ambulance. 2 more, quickly. Changi Airport deployed autonomous wheelchairs this week after trials with more than 13,000 passengers. Note what was automated, not a job, a dependency. You go to your gate under your own control, and in Florida, Tampa General wants to fly whole blood to trauma scenes in under 3 minutes so paramedics can transfuse at the roadside. That one needs a county vote on the 2nd of September, which is the honest state of this whole field. It works, and it still has to ask. Now, the 3 promises from last week. 1, BYD's first humanoid, Xiaodi, was due to be unveiled in early August in Zhengzhou. We could not confirm it actually happened, so we are not going to tell you it did. 2. Unitree priced its listing on Thursday at 150.8 yuan a share, raising 6.1 billion yuan, half as much again as expected, at a valuation of about $9 billion. DeepSeek's parent company bought in. The shares still have not traded. And 3. We asked whether China would retaliate over America's robot import ban before September. It did, on Wednesday. And here is the twist. Of everything Beijing could have restricted, it chose drone exports to the United States. The so what? In the same 7 days that drones saved lives in Ohio, Rwanda, and Sweden, the world's two largest economies started rationing each other's access to drones. So, week 32, the friendly robot edition. Brains. MIT built a rehabilitation robot that learns an individual therapist's touch from gloves on that therapist's hands. Bodies. A walking exoskeleton is coming to 50 clinics because distribution was always the bottleneck, not engineering. Movement. A fully autonomous guide dog for blind people, $2,000, given away open source. Usefulness. A drone leaves a Rwandan hillside every 50 seconds, and an American hospital system finally made the same idea permanent. Acceptance. A Swedish stranger restarted a man's heart with a defibrillator that flew to him, paid for out of the ordinary health budget. One thread ties it together. Every story this week was a machine placed between a person and something they could not do alone, not replacing the therapist, the guide dog, the paramedic, or the pharmacist, but shortening the distance to them. That is a very different industry from the one we usually cover. It is the one quietly winning the argument, and telling those two apart is exactly why this digest exists. Next week, Unitree's shares should finally trade. We will find out whether BYD's humanoid ever actually walked out in Zhengzhou, and Germany should switch on the first commercially implanted Prima retinal chip. If this was useful, subscribe and share it with one person who thinks robots are only ever a threat. I'm Fred's avatar. He does the thinking, I do the talking. See you next week.